Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We are live with
Indeed.
Guided Primal Sutra podcast. Ryan over there is in Suriname on his own adventures. How's it going, brother?
Hot. Fuck mosquitoes.
Right.
Great food snow, great people. I came here for mostly family visits, reconnecting with the ancestor roots, etc. And of course, so fucking typical. Of course, this house is right, well, a few hundred meters away from a graveyard, and it's always so typical.
Of course.
Of
Oh
course, right?
man.
It's like because imagine waking up
I feel
one day
like
and
you invoke spooky shit in your life, bro. I swear.
I
You
mean, it
kind of
does make
go,
it interesting.
yeah. I mean, you're
Mm.
looking out for that, so that's gonna be in your perception too, in a sense. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's coincidence.
Mm.
Well,
It is
nothing really is, but yeah.
coincidence because, well,
Right.
but you then conspiring the spiciness of my life, right?
Right.
Right, right. So today's topic has to do with manifesting like a god. Now, if the way I interpreted this topic, which I received like half an hour ago, roughly, is if God is a frequency, then you become the frequency of your desire, right? Let's say in this case, I love a good story and I love a good spooky story. So I really do enjoy. Oh, that's my mom. Anyway, expect the aunties, etc., to maybe open up the door
Knock
because
the door like break it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there's because they're always kind of like, hey, do you want to have some food? It was like,
Yeah. You gotta
whatever, I
have a plate
appreciate it.
ready. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the constant question of have you eaten lately?
Mhm. How important do you think
Um,
momentum is in manifestation? Like, do people really
abs
think that they're
it's
gonna jump
absolute.
from 0 to 100K or something? Like,
Well, it's the same thing like reading a book. So I don't know how y'all read books, but it usually start with every day a little bit, and at some point
yeah.
I'm reading for multiple hours. I'm reading multiple chapters, and at some point I'll fly through the material within a few hours, right? And it's I forget what the law is called again, but it might have to do with consistency, repetition, and getting familiar with the subject at hand. So if it comes to money, you need to get used to money, having money, spending money, the amount of money, losing money. Um, and yeah, that's it. It's back in our pick up our stays. What was the main thing? It wasn't necessarily getting used to rejection, it's our reaction to it. And
Mhm.
then it became
Yeah.
it's not that they rejected me, it's more so they reject their interpretation of me. And then
Right.
later it became dancing. And then it became, oh, I must go where I'm appreciated, right? I must go where I am more than just appreciated. I must go where I'm wanted,
Right.
right? And maybe the inner work is solid as fuck, but the outer work is not. So now I realize, oh shit, in order to match or more match the frequency that I so do want this to manifest, right? My physical body must match that because my physical body then becomes the container. So, and
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk about my past relationships, but I will say there's a certain pattern when it comes to my last exes, where one is more very heavily mind, the other is more heavily body, and the other was more heavily associated with the soul because the last one was very witchy, right? Then if
Yeah.
I look at that, and I realized with each and every one of these girls, I was a different version of myself, like a
Mhm.
vastly different um type of guy, still stemming from the same line, of course. But looking at that, and I realized, what if we bring all three together and go beyond that?
Yeah.
Then
Find the
that becomes the
overlaps.
new
Yeah.
version. And
Because
find the
momentum
overlaps
is
and
like stacking. It's about like stacking on to the
absolutely.
next, right? So this is like a rocket fuel that Ryan's talking about. So if momentum is the key, Ryan, then why do so many
Mhm.
people get stuck in the starting
Well,
line, you know?
so there's a few I want to say plot holes, there's a few road bumps. The
Road
initial
bumps. Okay.
road bump, where you're like a train and you need to create that momentum, that's will always suck. But you can expect that that sucks. So the only thing you can do is, let's say, a workout. Make sure that the first set is your warm-up set, that you're already like slowly studying the movements, really like oiling the joints or whatever, and then getting started. Same thing with a project. Every project has
Mm,
a kickoff. Get to know the people, get to know the systems, know who does what, when, where, and why. Know why we're doing this, know where the pain points are, know how we think we're gonna get there, and should things go away, as they always fucking do, we were a little bit more prepared for it, right?
yeah. I'm also
And
thinking
I,
about like I identity level change because like the identity, if it doesn't li line up with the outcome that you want, then it also creates like this resistance within.
how am I sounding, by the way?
It's a little muffled. Maybe try it without the headset. Is
Is it better
that be
like
better?
this?
May the flow be with you. Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same for me. How are you guys hearing it? Let me just check the live chat. You guys hearing? Hey there, babe. Anybody else?
Mm,
Nope. Okay. I think it's good, man. Just sounds like
Fine,
you're
you just
underwater.
continue.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway,
Underwater, I'm underwater. Anyway, let's continue.
yeah.
Distracting. So the
So
next thing is, of course, well, you talked about, we were talking about the road bumps, right? And I believe you
yeah,
learned this from Frank White from Grill of the Serpent. It's often between one activity to the next is where a lot of time tends to get lost. And that's something I'm working on because if you're having a hard time going from one pocket of frequency to the next pocket of frequency because you're distracted, well, that's when, you take a bit longer.
yeah,
Now, it's not a bad thing unless you deem it as such.
yeah.
And
Most people try to
that's,
manifest from ego instead of their character or deeper self, and I think that's a big
what do you
mistake.
mean?
Like if your ego is trying to manifest, you're using the thoughts, the identification, the belief around the actual goal, rather than
Mhm,
like deep character work, presence work,
mhm,
connecting with an identity who already has that.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
You see what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like not projecting your own insecurities onto the manifestation is what I mean.
I understand.
Because
I
most people are
understand.
stacking more tricks on top of bad wiring, right? So
Well,
it
there's
if
difference between a trick and a system,
right,
right?
right.
A system has been tested. A bag of tricks is only for the moment.
Yeah, otherwise they're just decorating the cage, right?
I mean, hey, here's the thing, right? Cake is more than just fondue and whatever things come on top of the cake. You need to actually bake the damn thing. Know how the dough rises, whatever. I don't know how to bake a cake, but you get the point. You need to know how to make the foundation of a cake. You've watched Cake Boss before, you know how these things go, but the foundation is always set up the right things and then you get to decorate.
Right.
There was a
The
moment
more you,
where
yeah, go ahead.
there was a moment where one of the bosses, I think the main honcho, had to make a cake blindfolded. And I
Hmm.
believe they baked a few parts beforehand and he had to decorate it blindfolded. And what you saw in his mannerisms, his built up habits over a very long time, is he doesn't even have to see what he's doing. He knows he's doing it correctly. He doesn't need to
Yeah,
measure anything. He knows where his tools are. He made a cake better than I would ever even dream about doing this because he's been doing this for such a long time. To manifest anything is like baking a cake. You've done it so many times before it becomes easy. It becomes so second
right.
nature. He might as well be the cake boss.
And
You know
that's
what I
why it's
mean?
a
It's the same
process of
thing.
like the cleaving away, the unlearning aspect of things, right? Because the
Yes.
more you add, the more you're actually taking away kind of paradigm
Mm,
where,
mm,
I have to buy, I bought these new gym clothes and so forth. I have to throw
mhm.
away my old ones, right? Otherwise, it's just
Yeah.
going to stack on top of the old. So that's the thing with vision boards, affirmations. If you don't have a strong foundation, you can't build and manifest like a god. Right.
Um, you mind if I talk about a random theory I was thinking about this morning because it kind of relates to
Sure,
this.
sure, sure.
So
Yeah.
it's so this is something we learned about Joe Nicasio, God bless his soul, blah blah blah. But it also comes back to things we've learned from multiple other cultures, from Arabs Nation, from Wolf of Wall Street, etc. And it all kind of comes down to the fundamentals of if you know where you are, you know where you want to be. The only thing you need to draw is a straight line, and that straight line represents the gap, that which should be crossed, right? And the
Mhm.
first node would represent where you are now, and the other node is where you want to be. But those two nodes have similar yet different frequencies, right?
Mm.
And now your goal is to take steps towards being that frequency. However, because there's still a gap to be crossed in the material world, we must figure out, okay, realistically, what obstacles do you need to face? Just making a step-by-step plan to getting there. And so,
Mm.
as if you've already won or manifested, you're taking those steps, just
Exactly.
combining two elements, the element of earth, the magnet, the magnification of it, because you understand the frequency thus you become it, and then fire, meaning whatever's in the way fucking gets burned to the ground, my man, and thus becoming fertilizer on your path, meaning the obstacle becomes the teacher. And then the more you've repeated it, the more flow gets created. And that's the element of water. And then the element of wind becomes, it is inherent in all forms, meaning whatever you've learned in this singular line can be applied now on multiple aspects or in multiple aspects, whatever, or two multiple aspects in your life, because it still follows the same principle. And then, if you
Yeah.
want to make it spiritual, between two nodes of spirituality, the line that's being drawn is your survival, right?
Mm.
And thus, whatever pain you're experiencing in the 3D world should have a material prescription that might as well have
Right.
spiritual elements, right? Thus, a a greedy action has 5D consequences.
Mhm.
So using material or survivability
And
to
vice versa
support
too, right?
exactly, thus creating a yin-yang effect, or I mean an infinity effect, where
Infinity, yeah.
one heals, the other supports, etc.
Mm.
So that's something I
Yeah,
was
but it's
thinking
like
about. How valid is this, by
it's
the way?
I think it's pretty valid, but it's also like it's not a chasing is because most people associate like manifestation with going after it,
Hmm.
whereas it's more like if you catch two rabbits, you both will escape, right? The Confucius quote or
No, I
whatever.
think you meant if you chase two rabbits, both will
Escape,
escape
right, right.
exactly.
Yeah. So like the whole Joe metaphor of laser beam over light bulb, right? Because the second you hesitate, the second your faith gets soft like tofu.
Right. True in general. However, disclaimer: context decides. Uh, a laser beam is cool, right? Unless the whole purpose was to light up the room, then you become the light bulb. But if
Mm.
there's a limited scope, a limited time, etc., then the light bulb does not make sense. The
Mm.
only thing you need is one singular stream of light. Exactly. Hesitation is a lack of faith. So if you knew whatever you did, you wouldn't lose, why are you
Mm.
still hesitating? So that
I think
means,
also like that Delulu
hmm,
level of confidence that a lot of people have that just breaks through all of the noise in their head is really powerful. Like because you're
yes.
manifesting based on your threshold of believability, right? So if you
Hmm.
think it feels like, oh, okay, it's going to take me 20 years, then it'll take you 20 years,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know? So
yeah.
if you really want to
This
manifest
is
like a god, then stop asking when it'll happen and start deciding that it's already happened.
right. So that means the material world only needs to catch up.
Right.
And then the
No
worst you
one's
need to do
waiting
is
on.
what are the minimum steps that need to be taken and get there. But,
Mhm.
hmm.
Right. It's not
Let's give
this
an
hope it
example.
comes true, BS. Yeah.
Right. Um, yes, Bashar is a good breakdown of this. Think so. If you find that YouTube clip of Bashar, could you share it with the adepts? I want to watch it later. Thank you. Good reminder. And that's what we do for the adepts, right? It's not just it's not just an individual thing or group thing, it's a together thing, right? Because what if we are merely fractals of each other, associated with each other, and thus helping each other manifest, right?
Yeah.
But again, maybe I'm just some crazy motherfucker that have to see look good.
But it's crazy to
Um,
someone who's deciding the furniture in their mind before the movers arrive, right? So it's
well,
like
yeah.
really
Well,
understanding your psyche,
I hope you know what you bought before the movers show up,
right? But
because
it's like that
it's
fantasy in the mind that feels real that eventually
yeah,
happens. Yeah.
it's imagine, right? I'm hiring you as my interior decorator, right? The moment you walk in the house, you can already see the potential. You can already see it. Now it's just a matter of can the material world match it close enough,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
right?
like applied
And
imagination. Yeah.
right. So I'm suddenly reminded of what if the two nodes of spirituality are spectrums? Like
Mm,
they're like a ball of a spectrum instead of merely a line. It becomes a
mm,
3D model, let's say, right? Like a ball or a cube, whatever. And
mm,
it's not only our goal to hit that cube, is to decide where in that cube or globe, whatever, is our most optimal form. So not only do I try to match the frequency of the cube, I try to decide which flavor of that frequency, and thus giving, you know, the steps I take towards it more flavor, more spice, making it
mm.
exciting, making me more enthusiastic, which means to be of spirit, and to be of spirit might as well to be of that frequency, right?
Right. Enthusiasmos to be possessed by gods. Yeah.
To be obsessed by
True.
God. Ooh, we need to make
Mm,
a post about that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
yeah. Yeah,
Let's
like a
make it
god,
open
not like a
to
beggar, not like a doubter, but like someone who has the blueprint in their hand, already sipping tea in the castle, right? Because we said so.
mm,
And now
mm.
class is dismissed. Hit the
Speaking of
gavel.
frequency, speaking of
Mm,
frequency, the purer the frequency become, the more others will get an ick, etc. Right?
yes.
Before this
Yes.
podcast, I asked you a question, okay, and often between Sumit, Uncle, Makara, and myself, we have some random discussions, and sometimes I find out things, and then I ask Sumit about it, and then the follow came up, right? When raising vibrations, let's say I'm trying to raise a vibration of this home, mostly to have good vibes and, should we leave this house to do whatever, we leave in good spirit, right? Well, what I didn't
Yeah.
expect was raising frequencies in environments also causes one, negative spirits, etc., to leave or expose themselves, and two, whatever tension and hidden agendas there were, they come up to the surface because those energies are still allergic to the high vibration. So that means
Yeah.
when I'm going from one frequency to the frequency I desire to be, thus becoming, whatever doesn't match it will rear its head
Mm.
and thus becoming an
Because it
obstacle.
disturbs their like feeding ground almost, especially if these
Mm-hmm,
entities
mm-hmm,
thrive on the chaos or the dependency loops. So sometimes
and
these beings
it's
act as like
mm-hmm,
amplifiers, making very small
mm-hmm,
annoyances blow up into like verbal fights. And that's exactly
mm-hmm.
what Ryan
What
witnessed.
happened?
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So that, and that's why the other auntie is having a coping mechanism activated, right?
right.
All right, interesting, interesting. So when you said, and this was already preordained
So
by the powers
frequency
of the
shift is
Nexus,
threatening actually to these entities. That's wild, huh?
yeah, and then by that logic, the human beings get threatened. So even though I'm
Yeah.
showing up as my highest self, even though whether it's at the client, my professional career, or at family, if I show up as my highest self and they get threatened, it might be more of a them thing. which is wild to me because I always assumed that um, me as a manifester of whatever needed to change, only to later realize that nah, it's also how the environment reacts to you and does that whole line thing, right? That whole material line between two nodes of spirituality, you have survival, right? Because the environment will react to you. If suddenly you're an egg, right, and out of that egg, thousands of years pass and people later find out you're a dragon because you're born as one, right? Yeah, they're gonna
Mm.
freak out. But that was always to be expected. And I said that exactly at 9:36. Of course people are gonna freak out, but so what? Let them. Their reaction to your evolution is none of your business. What is your business is being the frequency that you're supposed to fucking be, should you want to manifest whatever, and paying your due diligence because shit, getting that bread still takes bread.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Like, I think it's also like let their shadows wrestle with your light while you stay focused on the flight. This is from the Nexus.
Mm, thank you. I need to
Yeah.
hear that. I need to hear that. We're not gonna bring up my client, but we'll bring up what roughly happened. It seemed that my light triggered some deep-seated shadows, man. Very deep-seated shadows. And to some extent, I got treated with some disrespect, and to put it politely, wanted to, if I could, I would have punched my laptop screen in order to punch the guy. That's how angry I was. Now, I'm usually pretty level-headed, but that was like a surprise to me, man. And
Mm.
only to like week later find that like not only am I the trusted advisor, my approach is very valid, but some of them would like to stay stuck in their ways and expect me to keep them there. And that's just not what I stand for. I stand for productivity as a consultant, regardless of whether it's data or spiritual. We're here to get a job done. And that's all that matters to me. So where Uncle M um, tends to be on the light side and does, I deem him fluffy sometimes. You're not gonna get
Yeah.
that with me. It's straight to the point, straight to the pain. Because if you know what the pain is, meaning the main question to be answered, we can
Mm.
start taking steps, right? We can start making some prescription, and then we can have a roadmap on how to get to the next level, and thereby hmm, not only manifesting, but manifesting as your God, wow, your God form. I don't know why
Yeah.
my throat went like that.
Yeah. I think the Nexus is activating. So what I'm sensing is they're saying what is triggered in them is not your karma, it's theirs. Your only
Yeah.
responsibility is to stay clear, stay centered in source. That's your only responsibility.
Okay. Then I know what to do when I
Mm.
want some back because
Yeah.
the amount of rituals we did, not to affect my client team, but more so to make sure that I'm the right guy for the job, was like astronomical. I won't bring it up, of course, but the rough idea is you must be the trusted advisor more than merely a Javar, more than merely, oh, I have my own agenda, more than merely
Mm.
they have their own agenda. It's if we are to make it as a team, we do it together and we get a job done. Now, regardless of whether you see yourself as a magician, a sorcerer, whatever, at the end of the day, it's your character that dictates the end result. So may I lose everything in life. The only thing I have left is my character, right? And thus the character becomes the frequency. So who do I need to be to get what I want? Yeah. And I think I already became what I wanted without realizing.
No spin, no win.
Hmm.
Yeah, the universe doesn't work on good vibes only. It works on torturing people. It's
Oh,
energies, right?
make a post on that. That's a good one. Yeah. Well, It's what's that? It's a guy who got punished. Um, and he had to roll a boulder uphill. You know what kind of exercise that is, man? Imagine every time it becomes too easy, the boulder becomes heavier, becomes more annoying to grab, becomes slipperier, and it's like progresses overload over time. And at some point, assuming they feed the guy, right? You know how strong he becomes, man. Like, you know what? If that guy decides to wrestle, you know how strong this guy is, man. Because if you start to gamify your life, and it sounds so stupid, but it is very true. What if life is a set of mini games? What if life is a
Yeah.
set of mini games and the only thing you need to do is figure out the overlaps on how to win each game or to win most of the games, and then
And create a winning
make a
streak, right?
set,
Yeah.
make a winning
Yeah.
streak, stay consistent in a winning streak. Because of
Right.
course you're gonna get distracted because the universe is that good. Of course, you're gonna, you know, take a break here and there because the universe is that good. Of course, you're gonna
Mm.
misunderstand the lesson and then, end up in some fucking rabbit hole. And then you need to figure out how to get out of the rabbit hole first and then continue on your path. I mean, look at my grappling so-called career. Like now with a back injury and whatever the fuck happened socially with the club, I need to recalibrate myself and figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Who do I want to become? And then it becomes, yeah, I kind of want to become like Ryu. I might lose every fight. So what? As long as I progress or progress. And
Right.
it's the same thing with my career, same thing with everything else. And I expect each and every one of you, should you know, be willing to do the work, continue on this
Yeah.
path. So what if things didn't manifest or
This is
work
like
out the way you
mystical
expected?
mechanics, brother. Like what we're doing here, it's so new. Like who's talking about this stuff or who's doing
Hmm.
it?
Well, the way I see it is, it isn't like this hasn't been done before. It's more so we are remembering again. And
Right.
then our
Totally.
interpretation and the way we execute it becomes different as opposed to our former versions or our teachers,
Mm.
etc. I mean, the way I
Mm.
manifest and the way you manifest is vastly different. I need to become
Right.
the complete embodiment of that which I want to manifest. And it would take some time for me to first understand it and then start to go, oh no, now I get it. Now I understand. And then things go very fast. I mean,
Mm.
just today I realized the siren energy in primarily this part of the country or
Mm.
continent, I should say. Siren energy is very suppressed. But why? Is it merely because it's not a safe environment? Possibly. But I
Mm.
know in countries like this, fear and shame is heavily applied from the parental side. And I understand it. I understand why.
Yeah. It's interesting because these lower astral beings, they can only feed off of your root and your sacral because like fear is like
Hmm.
just the energy fragmented into
Fear is the
digestible like particle packets for
Shamasical.
them. So like
Yes.
bliss, gratitude, this stuff is too high voltage or too coherent. It's too unified because you can't
Mm.
bite into a star, bro. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, you could try, but you're gonna
you
fucking
could
burn
try
before
exactly.
impact. You could try and fuck it.
So just
Let them
overdose them
try.
on your raw mind heart coherence. Like you give them the sun, and that's why, these entities can't handle the real Primal Sutra adept because you're not defending your field, you're conducting it, you're singing it, you're spinning it.
Well, here's the thing, energy doesn't need defending. It simply is. And
Right.
if you manage
It
to
just needs a
overpower it,
direction or yeah,
it
intention.
just needs
Yeah.
direction. It's energy, direction, and meaning, right?
Right, right.
Without saying
Ideal.
too much. Without saying too much. Without saying too much, right?
Right, right.
And it's that constant golden ratio of why becomes the center, how becomes the direction, and then the way you do it. And the E becomes the what, and that's merely the energy. Each and every one of us can choose to be or stay connected with source, and it's what you decide to do with it, becomes your life. And in my case, I I mean, my journey started with looking back 3, 4 years ago, started with the deep desire to do ancestral healing. And it's taken how long to get here? 4 or 5 years to be, in my ancestral home, parental, etc. And according to the readings we've done together, Sumin, a lot of shitty loops have been closed. Because once I leave and things have been laid to rest, um, a lot more than just wealth, a lot more peace will come to this family so that, the descendants can profit from it. Thus, an almost 4 year long project um, has ended. Isn't that right, Sumit, according to the Muslim Testament?
Yeah.
That's how long it has taken. And man, if I can do it, you can do it. That's for sure. Because I'm definitely not your typical shaman. Definitely not your typical shaman. I just chose to be my
Mhm.
own style, and you too can. Now, let's start opening up mics or whatever. I, of course, can't access YouTube because fucking switching between Zoom and uh, YouTube is going to be annoying. So, if there's any questions or interesting comments, could you
Yeah,
please read
definitely
them
let
up,
us know
Smith?
if you have any, yeah, questions, comments, anything. Just type it in the chat or
Yeah,
unmute if you want. Yeah, awesome. Paris is sending some siren emojis. Amazing.
appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, another thing that I noticed, Ryan G, and this might be interesting, when I'm
Mm-hmm,
tapping into light language, I noticed that when I do the vowel sounds, basically it creates a
mm-hmm,
portal for that light language to flow in more clearly. And what's really happening, I realized, is
mm-hmm.
like om through the body is also A-E-I-O-U-M, like, all the vowels with M at the end, right? So om is like the vowel sounds all. And if you say all the vowel sounds, you're going through all of your chakras. And that's
Mm,
why om works so well. Like this is something from the Nexus that I need to still stack, but I'm just
is
throwing it out here
one
on
of
this
the Jester
podcast.
deities sharing some crazy wisdom?
Yes.
Okay,
What is it?
so it has to do with the whole mantra thing is fun. What's even funnier is what if old MacDonald had a farm already has all the mantras in it. E-I-E-I-O.
Right.
And
Mhm.
something was his name. Oh.
Right.
Who created that fucking song? It has to be a Freemason because the same rhythm has been used with many other songs. It
Right.
has all the
Because
letters of the alphabet last I checked.
Bingo
Bingo
was his
was his name.
name.
Oh. And is bingo either the manifestation or merely the the solution to the obstacles you're facing? Oh my
Yeah,
God,
it's
I
almost
had
like all the ducks in a row type of thing. Because it's like in bingo, you have to like match it in a row, right? So it's
mashed in a
almost like
row. E
it's
I
like
E
one
I O,
manifestation, another one, another one, another one. It keeps stacking.
and
Yeah.
another one, and you just keep stacking as per to the count. Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
That vowels are usually the most important in numerology via letters. Yeah. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm,
That's why
mm-hmm,
signal magic removes the vowel. Vera says, yeah, that Om stuff
It's a joke.
really intrigued
Mm-hmm.
me when you mentioned it during the live this earlier this morning. I was wondering how I can benefit from that information in my singing. Absolutely, brother, because it's working on your vagus nerve activation and it's going to open up that voice. So as you breathe in with the Om more, it's going to open up that whole area, right? So, um, you know what? I used to like if I ever got this is TMI, but if you ever get constipation, you got to Om in the toilet,
Okay,
bro. It's
I'll
it's the most easiest thing, right? but it's the
Okay.
most effective thing because it actually gets rid of stuck energy, right? Including
So,
poop.
disclaimer, one, don't be an idiot.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think you should be doing this in a public scenario. Um,
right.
please do this in the privacy of your own home. Um,
That I did get that from Ivan, bro. That's funny that you manifest. Yeah, yeah. Ivan used to do that at my home. Used to do that in the toilet, bro. My parents go, what is he oming? But yeah, give me a hug
I
when you
mean,
first saw him. Yeah, he's cool, man. He's
I
cool,
see.
man. He's coming back to the tribe, I think. Could be, could be.
We'll
All
see.
right.
I worship many kings. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Do it in public, throw motherfuckers off. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if that's
Really
what
good guy,
kicks you
man.
off, man. But anyway, we're heading towards the end of this call. It's almost 45 minutes.
Right.
The outro. We're heading to Sedona. That's valid. After I'm back from Suriname, that's in South America. The only Dutch-speaking South American country, by the way. So if you expect me to speak Spanish, we need to work on that. We're heading to Sedona. We're going to be visiting whatever it's there. The general idea is to connect it with the Mars energy, seed of Shiva, etc. Later this month, Smith and I will be looking at the road mapping. It is mainly a general agenda and points we need to reach. When doing such a road trips, we have a mission in mind, and every time we reach a certain level, we just add a point, and the points become 10. That means 10 being we have done all we could have done. And me being ever
Mm,
competitive, I'm gonna try to do everything within the first fucking week. So,
mhm.
and Sumit is there to calm me the fuck down because it's not that I'll burn out. It's mostly, um, I become a complete, how would you say this? I become over competitive just to really get it done. So Sumi's there to fucking grind my ass, and I'm there to make sure the job gets done because, and I don't know how to celebrate a vacation. So that's this is like practice for me. And that has been my mom's main complaint here. Like, Ryan, fucking go relax or something. So relaxation is not something I'm used to. So I'm used. That's one of the things too from my Mars-oriented deities. Fucking, they're good at chasing and getting things done and finding the next best thing to do, etc. But Ryan, the root chakra energy is also an energy of the celebration. So that's my message to
All
you, and
right.
that's what I'm also gathering. So yeah. So what are you there to do, Simon?
I'm there to connect with my higher self, Sanat Kumar's
Mm,
energies, and definitely ground it down because I know that there's Shiva codes there and there's Sirius B and Vega codes, Lyra codes there. There's a lot of just installations and downloads. This is why there's a lot of people who go to Sedona as a portal as well. I would highly recommend the adepts who are interested in going to Sedona to actually, I'll post it after this, but there's some singing bowls that are
hmm.
attuned to the frequency of Sedona. So it'd be very good as a prep to
Cool.
just get yourself in that energy field already. Yeah.
Share the payment, no, well, the product links of such bowls in the devs group so that we can check to which level this is valid. Because, you know, I'd rather you buy quality things, and plus that Sedona bowl could be reused or repurposed for the Marsh energy, which is
No, it's
this year's.
like listening to this bowls from Sedona. So it's not actually you have to purchase
Oh,
it. So it's like a YouTube video.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
That's
just
not what
wanted
I meant, that they have
to.
to like purchase a
Okay,
single. That's not what I meant. No, I'm not being a capitalist,
right.
Ryan. But I mean, yeah, it does
Mm,
cost money to go on the event, so save up, like get everything
absolutely.
ready, get the visa, and
Mhm.
yeah, tap in. Let's get it. Upward spiral. Let's pull a card to end. You want to say vision of abundance?
Do you have the cards in your hand right now?
Yep.
Blow into the cards.
All right, hold on. I think one of the deities wants to tap into the energy. Which one is this? Is this osmosis? Yeah, okay.
Mmm.
Sorry, osmosis. Okay.
One more.
Yeah, ready.
Start
What's the
shuffling.
intention? Okay, so the intention is, let's just say the
Hmm.
title of this podcast, which is How
Manifest
to
like a
Manifest
god.
Like a God, Not Like a Wannabe.
Hmm.
Let's see what the guides have to say. Whenever you're ready, Ryan, starting now.
Now,
Odin. Odin,
interesting,
psychic insight.
interesting.
Your third eye is open. See truth for what it is. Follow your intuition. So you already know how to manifest like a god. You're just remembering. That's the download.
Mm. Did I get validation about the things that I was thinking of?
I think so, because he's one of your guides. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, interesting. Am I being coached into being a male siren or something?
Something like that. There's a very interesting
Yeah,
Shakti energy, though, associated. We have to figure that out in due time. Figure it
in
out.
due
It's a
time,
Devi energy,
indeed.
yeah. All right.
Anyway, I'm guessing we've reached the end of this podcast. Should there be
Yep.
any more questions from me that just posted in the description window, I'll answer it there.
Right.
Sumit, let's continue on together. Anyone else, feel free to stay or leave. This has been GPS, Guided Primal Sutra.
Podcast. Let's go. Upward spiral gang. May we never be the same again. May the flow be with
Indeed,
you.
indeed.